Hey everybody, welcome to Squat Pot Sports. We're bringing our thoughts on the latest games and sports news around the sports world, brought to you by the Sideline Sports Network. Super Bowl week is upon us. You know, media day is happening. A lot of NBA news going on. You know, it seems like all the head coaching positions are hired now,
in the
much in the NFL.
Right.
Amongst a lot of other news. We'll go over that, of course, but there really isn't too much. I mean, we'll talk about the Super Bowl, obviously, but other than that, really isn't too much to go into other than the news. So, I mean, that'll just leave us, talk about the NBA. A lot of crazy stuff going on to the trade deadline here on Thursday. So we'll talk about some trades that have been happening, the NBA hot and not list, of course, and the bias bubble and the crazy sports stat back to the podcast. So, yeah, Super Bowl week. We got Matt Stafford versus Joe Burrow. Rams versus Bengals, man. I know we talked about it a little last week, but we really wanted to save everything to this week, leading up to it. We have got... Oh, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, I really kind of am flip-flopping on my decision here, where last week I was picking the Rams, and
man, I have been too.
The closer we get to the Super Bowl, I'm just going to go ahead and pick the Bengals, but we'll see, because we'll discuss that a little bit further, but I'm still kind of teeter-tottering on my pick, but I'm going to make a decision.
I am too. And if anybody wants to see stuff coming out of Super Bowl Media Week, go check out Sideline Sports. We got John and JB. They're there in LA, Radio Row and everything. They're doing tons of interviews, getting in on these calls. We're getting in on them virtually. I got to sit on a interview with a presser with Odell Beckham and Von Miller the other day. It was pretty cool. I didn't get to ask a question, unfortunately. I was trying to, but a little tidbit out of there. I don't know if you saw this, Vern, but Odell said that he was very, very close to signing to the Patriots.
I did see that, and I thought that was interesting because I always wanted it to happen, but it just never, nobody ever pulled the trigger on the deal. So unfortunately,
he makes it seem like it could be a possibility in the future. He said he wants to play for Bill.
I think it was a lot of him wanting to play with Tom as well. So now, who knows? But maybe if he wins the Super Bowl, leaves the Rams, maybe. Who knows? That'd be crazy. Him and Mac Jones,
So yeah, go check out Sideline Sports on Twitter and on Facebook. Everybody across the program and the network, everybody's getting a little piece of the action. Getting some questions in there, talking to some of these athletes, offensive coordinators and coaches. So it was really good content. So go check that out.
Absolutely. I saw the other day the one show they started it with Kurt Warner. I was like, oh my God, it's just crazy. They started the show with a Kurt Warner interview, just as soon as it gets going. So it's good stuff, man. Definitely check it out.
Great stuff. So definitely check that out. Go follow them on Twitter and on YouTube and everything. Now the game itself, I know you said you've been flip-flopping. Kind of break it down. What do you think who do you think is the biggest X factor for each team? Maybe not like a player per se, but like position group.
Right.
Or who do you think is going to be the X factor for each team?
I honestly think it's going to be for the Bengals, Jamar Chase, and whether or not Ramsey can shut him down, or if they're going to double team him, or what they're going to do, because that they're going to be rushing Joe Burrow. That line is going to be under attack all day long with Aaron Donald and Von Miller back there. But if he can get the ball out to an open Jamar Chase, that's the difference for them. And I think on the other side, Cooper Kupp, if he gets loose, he could easily get 40, 50 yards on you just like that, So I would not be surprised to see a wide receiver win MVP at the Super Bowl. And that's why I wore this jersey. The last wide receiver to win MVP at the Super Bowl, Julian Edelman, So
Jules.
I think this is a very good opportunity for that to happen this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you have Eli Apple covering Cooper, it's going to be a bad day. It's gonna be a bad day. It's going he got burned a couple times there in the conference championship game. But I think on the other side, I think the biggest X factor, you already mentioned it for the Rams, is that D line. I think, I think if they're going to be able to get pressure on Joe Burrow, like you said, if he's able to get the ball out quick enough, it may not make a difference. But you got Von Miller, you got Aaron Donald out there who's looking, cause some damage, break through that line.
I think that's one of the only ways the Bengals win this game is if they can get the ball out as quick as possible, because he can't dance around out there in the pocket with this D line. Not at all. Yeah. It's going to be a really bad day for him.
And I know we talk about Tom Brady all the time on the program, but that's that's one thing that Tom Brady was so good at, is finding his guy and getting the ball out so quick.
Yeah.
Like maybe a second or two as soon as the ball is snapped.
Too
he knows
fast
where he's throwing
for them
it.
to do anything about it,
Exactly. So I mean, I think that's going to be a deciding factor. Matt Stafford cannot have any turnovers in this game.
He's going to.
I know. I feel it.
I feel it in my
bones.
When is it going to happen? Is it going to be early?
Oh, it's going to happen in the worst moment.
Is it going to be early enough for them to recover? Or is it going to be late in the fourth quarter whenever he's trying to make a valiant last quarter, like last drive, game-winning touchdown? You know what I mean? So
I don't know if it'll be that late. I think it won't be at a good point. I think it'll be when they're trying to maybe catch up or, trying to get ahead. I don't think it's going to come late.
Money on over-under on one interception in the second quarter. That's what I think that he would have the
second
turnover.
Quarter. Yeah, I think Matt is. I think he's going to have the turnover. I don't know. I can't see Joe Burrow turning the ball over that much here in this game. I mean, it is against that defense
as well. He'll probably have at least one pick as well, but I think Joe Burrow will have a lot more yards. Even though Matt Stafford slings the ball, don't get me wrong, but I think Burrow will end up with more yards in this game here.
Yeah, and I think it could also come down to who can run the ball as well. I mean, they do have some great options at receiver, especially the Rams.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going to also have to, run the ball, try to open up that pass game a little bit more. It's going to be hard to run against that Rams D, like I mentioned before. But the Rams on the other side, they have like a three-headed monster there in the backfield they can use.
I think they do a lot of screens and things like that to try to get them the ball quickly, mixing.
Yeah.
Or mixed in with runs and everything, but like you said, it's going to be hard to run on that line regardless. So I think they try to find other ways to get him mixed in there because they really need to. He's a vital part of that offense as well.
Absolutely. So who do you think, I know you've been flip-flopping, but who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl over?
My official pick is Cincinnati Bengals win the Super Bowl 56, okay? And the score, I'm going to say 35-31.
Ooh. I'm
going to write it down.
I am also picking the Cincinnati Bengals. I am not going to go opposite on you on this one. I'm going to go with them Bengals just for some reason, man. I feel it. I feel like there's magic brewing within this Cincy team.
Magic brewing, exactly. There's something going on here that we don't understand. It's gonna be the next Tom Brady moment type of thing where you got the young gun come out here and just win the Super Bowl at age 23 or however old he is. It's gonna be crazy. But what do you think as far as the score?
I don't think it's going to be that high, as high as 35, 30, whatever you said. I would say, man, it's not, I'm going to go a little lower. I'll go 27, 24.
That's a very good pick as well. Interesting. Have a McPherson field goal to win the game.
Yeah, something because I mean, we saw that pretty much every game these past couple weeks. It comes down to that field goal. And hey, like you said it before, we talked about it. What if, the Rams have to go down and make that field goal? Is that where the pick's going to come in? Is that where the turnover is going to happen for Matt Stafford when they're trying to make that game-winning drive, kick that field goal? Who knows? But I think I agree with you, man. I think the Bengals are going to pull it out here. And it's rare because usually I pick against one team just because there's usually a team I don't like. But both of these teams, I like Matt Stafford. I like Joe Burrow. I like both these teams, really. It's interesting. I don't want to pick against either of them.
I don't have really any stock in either one of these teams, so it's just either one of them could win. It don't really matter to me, and that's making me be able to kind of give it a more objective look at it, because my heart's not in it. So I mean, I guess I lied. My heart is in the Bengals, where I think there's some type of magic here. They're going to end up winning this game, even though I think the Rams have a better team. But we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be a great Super Bowl. I can't wait to see it.
Super Bowl MVP?
I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow, man. He's just gonna come out rocking an ice chain with a cigar afterwards, lift that MVP trophy. I think it's gonna be Joe Burrow. I'm gonna write that down here.
I think it's also gonna be Joe Burrow. I was gonna say Jamar Chase, but then I thought about Joe Burrow's gonna be slinging it. He's gonna be the one doing his thing.
He's going to be the one to
and it's not
going
to be just the Jamar Chase show. They're going to have to use other players to win it as well.
Jamar's got to have like 256 and a like ridiculous one-handed grab like highlight play to win MVP, you know?
Yeah. And it's weird because like you said before, on the opposite end, if the Rams win, I could totally see, you know, Cooper getting it.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp getting Super Bowl MVP.
Or even Aaron Donald if he has like an amazing game.
A huge game, like 5 sacks or 4 sacks and like a fumble recovery or something.
Like a difference-making game, you know?
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, we will see. And I know it's not football related, but it is during the Super Bowl. But we got a halftime show for the ages in this one, going out to all the 90s babies and the 90s era here. We got Eminem, we got Dr. Dre, you got Kendrick, got Mary J. Blige and Snoop Dogg. Mm-hmm. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait for the Super Bowl halftime show. The last couple years, it's been like the weekend was good last year, but there's been some questionable picks. You know,
I really enjoyed last year's. Last year was awesome with the weekend.
Last year's was good.
I think this year's going to be even better with like how many acts they have. It's going to be amazing, man. I can't wait to see
I can't wait to see what they do.
I really
because it seems like the theatrics get even crazier year after year after year.
Yeah, exactly. Like it gets bigger and bigger, and I know that the NFL doesn't pay the Super Bowl act, so like they fund it themselves and everything, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but they're mega stars, so they're doing all this. You know, think about all the money Dre's got to put on a show that's going to be amazing. So I can't wait. to see it.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be so.
And
cool.
look how many memes came out of last year's. That was huge with the weekend running through like the wall of mirrors and stuff. All the memes that came out of that was great.
Funny. I forgot about that.
So, I mean, is there anything else you want to add as far as like Super Bowl here? I know it is the big game, but there really isn't a lot to cover, you know, as far as the game itself.
Right. Until it happens, till we see what's going down. You know, we got a big matchup, you know, like I said, but I think both these teams deserve to be here. Both these teams had a great year, regardless of the outcome of this game. But I'm going with Cincinnati and Ice Joe.
Same here, man. Same here. And I think, regardless if Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl, I think this is really going to give a lot of attention to Cincinnati for free agents. And, you know, people are going to want to play with Joe Burrow.
Exactly.
Because they know that he's a talented kid. I mean, it's the second year he made it to a Super Bowl. He's played phenomenal. It's going to want to attract a lot of stars to go there and kind of help build that team.
People are going to start thinking like, oh, is this the next Bills? Like they're the up and coming, you know, franchise that's going to be nice being carried by this young quarterback. So I can definitely see people gravitating straight towards them, which is bad.
Yeah,
for the
and
Steelers.
I know Gronk already said that he would like to play with Joe Burrow.
Really?
Yeah, he had a statement. They asked him about if there was any QB right now that he would want to join the team and play with, and he said Joe Burrow.
That's awesome.
So I mean, maybe if Gronk doesn't retire, you see him going over to Cincy.
That's awesome. I would love to see that. Just give him that weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. Since Super Bowl talk is done, we'll go right into a lot of NBA news. Not NBA, NFL news here. My mind out there today. So this was actually just happened. ESPN expanded its agreement with Peyton and Eli Manning for Monday Night Manning football through 2024.
Nice. So we got more Manning cast coming. That means more superstars coming on and giving crazy interviews and crazy insights. I can't wait. I loved it last year. The
Manning curse is staying alive.
One of my favorite
All the players that go on always lose the next week.
Right. But one of my favorite parts was whenever Eli and Manning were trying to like get communications right, and Eli's like, Peyton, can you hear us? And then you hear Peyton, he's just like, I can't hear shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know they're live. Moments. Like, oh my God.
I remember like Eli talking about Philly fans, and then he was talking about, he looked over and there was like this little kid and he stuck up the middle fingers. And they got in trouble. Like people complained to the FCC about him sticking up middle fingers on ESPN.
It was great, man.
And I remember even just year. I think it was the Raiders or the Baltimore was the first game they did on Manning Cast, but I remember Peyton Manning stuck that tiny ass helmet on his head and it didn't even fit him, and he was like recreating a play and he just had this tiny helmet on it.
Eli's cracking jokes about his forehead.
Yeah. And Peyton's always like ripping Tom Brady or joking about Tom Brady the whole time.
But it's great.
So I mean, I guess he won't really be able to do that too much anymore unless he's referencing them at this point.
Well, he's going to be able to probably have him like, I could see Brady hopping on another episode.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, true. And other big news today, the NFL said that they are going to play their first regular season game in Munich in 2022. And they're also going to have 4 games altogether in Germany through 2025.
That's going to be pretty awesome. Just the NFL expanding, internationally like that.
Yeah. So all in all, next year in 2022 season, they're going to have 5 international games, 1 in Munich, 1 in Mexico City, and 3 in London in 2022. So it started next year.
4 different countries with football now.
Expanding, trying to, build the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, maybe in like 10 years or something, we going to have some like different country teams that are going to be in the NFL or something.
The NFL versus the world, you know what I mean? And then that's going to be
the
like
WFL
the new Super Bowl
or something.
The World Football League. And like AFC versus NFC, that'll be the new Super Bowl. The best American team versus the best world team. Like,
ooh. Or like you actually do the Super Bowl and everything. Like you win the Super Bowl, and then the Super Bowl winner goes and plays like their Super Bowl winner or something, like their championship winner. Yeah,
for the world
that would be awesome for the world championship. That would they need to start like bringing us on for ideas.
Yeah, man, bring us into the department for whatever you need.
Washington Commanders. I don't know if we announced this last week, if we talked about it last week or not.
I don't think it was out yet.
It wasn't out, yeah, but a spoiler, Washington actually has a name now. They're the Washington Commanders, or the Comrades. People are kind of linking them to the Soviet Union. There's a lot of posters with Dan Snyder and like Soviet uniform with the Washington.
So they're the Comrades now. They're not the no names anymore. They're the Comrades. Okay.
Oh, people have been roasting them ever since. Their uniforms are weird. Like, I don't know if you looked at the uniforms. Yeah. I feel like they don't fit. They don't match each other in any way, really. They're very different from each other, where it's not like the Patriots or the Eagles or some of these other teams where it's just kind of a white version of that uniform or just a black one. They completely redid it on each uniform. It's weird.
Washington gonna be Washington.
But in other news, Washington said that they're opening up investigation on themselves due to all of like the an employee came out about the sexual harassment and saying that like one person within the organization was paid by Dan Snyder to shoot like softcore porn with the cheerleaders and stuff. Yeah, it's getting out of hand.
Dan Snyder's already suspended too. Like, that's ridiculous.
But Roger Goodell came out today and said the NFL is going to be conducting an investigation, and it makes no sense for Washington to do so.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it says last week the league stated that we will review and consider Ms. Johnson's allegations as we would in any other regarding workplace conduct at a Washington Commanders. The league, not the team, will conduct an independent investigation and will be retaining an investigator to determine the facts shortly. So Washington, man, they're just a whole mess of stuff going on, not even football related. It's just bad stuff in this organization.
I would hate to work like any type of HR or like promotional like marketing on that team, because it's a dumpster fire. Try to save your ass the whole time, try to better your image the whole time, and something else comes out every time.
And this has been ongoing for years.
Exactly.
Like just different things. Like it's ridiculous, and that's the thing. It's all separate things that just keep popping up. Best thing to do: make Dan Snyder sell the team.
Exactly.
Get rid of this guy.
It's obviously a pattern, and it starts at the top. So
exactly. Make him sell the team. Get somebody else in there that can actually run this. It's making everybody else look bad. It's making all these other teams look bad, really. And I mean, there's other stuff in the NFL that's going on right now. We talked about Brian Flores' stuff last week. So I mean, that's also out there among other things. So I mean, it's definitely not a good look for the NFL. There's a lot of some Deflategate stuff that came out saying kind of like the NFL was kind of working against the Patriots, trying to find stuff on them. So I mean,
surprising. Very surprising.
So NFL is trying to really kind of do some damage control at this point. We talked about Wink Martindale the other week. He left the Ravens. The Giants are actually signing him as defensive coordinator now.
Nice. Okay.
Let me see here. Tom Brady. I mean, even though he retired, we talked about it last week. He did say about an opportunity about coming back potentially. He said, "Never say never." He said, "I don't know how I'll feel 6 months from now. It may change. It most likely won't, but I'll leave it at that."
Gisele's not gonna let him come out of retirement after she finally got him to retire after 22 years.
take a year off, be with the kids, and then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna pull with
football.
Jordan. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna win another Super Bowl and retire again.
He's just gonna post in their like newspaper, "I'm back."
I'm back. Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Oh shit!
Oh God, here
Tom
we go.
Brady.
Then where does he go?
Back to New England.
Maybe. Who knows? What Mac Jones will look like then. Maybe he goes to San Fran. Who knows?
No.
The Steelers are scheduling an interview with Louis Riddick for their vacant GM job here. He last worked with the NFL for the Eagles as director of pro personnel in 2013.
Okay.
I think that would be a great hire for him. I mean, it seems like Louis Riddick, he knows his stuff, and he's been kind of consistently in these talks every year, it seems.
Right.
As like maybe becoming a GM somewhere.
Absolutely. I think it could be a great fit as well.
I was pushing for him if we fired Howie this past off season. You know, I would have loved to have him as the GM.
Right.
As far as another coaching here, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy's contract is expiring this offseason, so he could re-up, become the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs again, or he could be one of the hottest free agents out there. You know, it's weird because he hasn't been signed, and it seems like he hasn't had any interviews.
Interesting.
And he's been a name that's been out there for a couple of years now that should be one of the top head coaching.
If we don't hear about him getting an extension before the season starts, that's going to get really interesting. You know,
it's going to get really
interesting. Going to be almost guaranteed a free agent at that point where he could just go and do whatever he wants inside with whatever team he wants. And I bet you, who knows what head coaching positions are going to be open next year.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, he could take an offensive coordinator job somewhere this year, and go try to get a head coach. But it's so weird because he's had interviews past couple years. I haven't seen him have any interviews this year, though. No. But it's odd, because he's always talked up as, one of the top candidates that's out there.
Yeah, then you have all these, like, off-the-wall people getting jobs, and I'm like, what? Who the hell? Who?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's another – apparently – It's rumored that the NFL put pressure on Houston to not hire Josh McCown as their head coach.
Yeah.
Apparently, they were super close to hiring Josh McCown as a head coach.
Like, don't you do it?
With zero coaching experience
don't you
in
do
the
it?
NFL.
Not after what Not after what we're going through. Don't you do it? Oh,
that would literally be the worst look in the like days after Brian Flores's statement. And he's suing the NFL. You guys hired Josh McCown as the head coach.
Oh my God.
But it's looking like he's probably going to be like an offensive coordinator or an assistant coach on the Texans somewhere. It's looking like.
Yeah.
So at least he'll get his foot in the door, get some experience that way. Kind of build up that resume.
Absolutely.
The Saints hired their head coach. They actually promoted defensive coordinator Dennis Allen to be their next head coach. They said, we got like $70 million negative cap space. Good luck with that, man.
We can't really afford to get a new coach, so you're the coach now, okay?
You're the coach now. You under contract. You good.
Yeah, you good.
you can deal with this for a year or so, right?
That's going to be a disaster.
I mean, it's going to be a disaster. That whole division now is like wide open, I feel. The Texans they hired Lovie Smith now as their head coach. He was their assistant head coach last season.
I think that's a great
Lovie Smith back to being a head coach.
Right. First time since the Bears, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's a great hire for him, I think he was doing all right with the Bears. He just never could get over that hump there,
Yeah. Another hire here, the temporary head coach for the Raiders, Rich Bisaccia, he got hired as the Packers special teams coach now. So he's moving his talents to Green Bay. Fortunately, he didn't get that Raiders job. He wasn't interviewed for any other head coaching jobs. We don't want you. Get out of here. Colts announced they officially hired Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator this year. So Gus Bradley, he's been a name here in the NFL for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And big news this week, Alvin Kamara was arrested in Las Vegas. Apparently him and his buddies stomped out a dude at a club, and then the next day went and played in the Pro Bowl. Got arrested after the Pro Bowl.
Every time. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to put an NFL team in Las Vegas.
Probably should have put the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas.
Probably shouldn't have put the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. Off-season NFL players. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it seems like he's not even on the Raiders. It's no matter what happens, trouble happens in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
This was not a good idea.
This we're 2 years in to it
Yeah.
now. Like, it's not a good idea. It's obviously a bad idea to have football in Vegas, and they want to bring all these different sports. There's gonna be an NBA team in Vegas eventually, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I can see it.
Oh, God.
But they're saying at the worst, he can face like 5 years in prison for everything that's happened. I don't think that's necessarily gonna happen, but it may not be a good look for the future. I mean, for one of the top backs in the league.
Right. I don't even know what his future in the NFL is at the moment. We'll see.
Exactly. Miami signed 49ers offense coordinator Mike McDaniel as their head coach
This
here.
is the guy I'm talking about. I'm like, who? This kid? Who is this guy? Like, he looks like he's like 24. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. But hopefully that's a good hire for him. I hope
seems like he knows his stuff, man. He seems like he's super smart. We'll see if he'll be able to build around that Dolphins team. So, I mean, Brian Flores, he did a pretty good job. He made him a winning organization. Let's see if Mike McDaniel can.
Now that Brian's gone, I can go back to like really hating the Dolphins, because whenever he was there, I kind of
liked Brian Flores.
Yeah, exactly. I like. Of course, he's been with New England since like 2012, I think. But like, I was not rooting for him, but I was okay with them winning because it meant he was winning. And now, the Dolphins, I hope they lose every single game for the next 5 years and then fire that coach. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, good luck to him, I guess. But you're not getting too much of a good luck from a New England fan.
And as predicted months ago, Doug Peterson is officially the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach.
Yep. Now we need the next domino to fall. Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator for them.
Yeah, I haven't seen any rumors on an offensive coordinator hire for him. I've been seeing like special teams. I think they hired a QB coach already. They brought in what's his name? It's such a weird name. Jim Bob Cooter. They brought Jim Bob Cooter in. They actually he was working under Nick Sirianni for the Eagles, and Doug Peterson stole him. He said, "You coming to Jacksonville?"
Oh my God, that is such a ridiculous name.
Such a ridiculous. We've been hearing it for years. Old Jim Bob Cooter. Eric Weddle said that this is it.
Yeah.
Came out of retirement, and this is it. He's going back into retirement after this.
This is exactly what he wanted. He was like, I'm trying to get them to the Super Bowl, and I'm going back. He's like Hawkeye in Avengers. Like, he just comes out when he needs to, and he's trying to go back and retire again.
And other head coaching news, the Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. There's another dude, I didn't even know who this guy was. He's the next head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So they have their new head coach.
I saw Justin Jefferson was talking highly of him, so we'll see what happens with that, but I don't even really know what he's capable of there. If he was under McVay.
And with that hiring, obviously, Jim Harbaugh took his ass back to Michigan.
Yeah.
And then he said, there's no duo. He's like, that's it. He's like, I'm not returning. He said that was the last chance. So from what he's saying, he's done with the NFL at this point.
A couple months ago,
I take that with a grain of salt.
A couple months ago, he wasn't even going to consider the NFL like that. He wasn't even talking about like the NFL. Come on.
And then he's flying into Minnesota.
I don't believe anything he says. Nothing. Not a damn word.
Yeah. And unfortunate news, Cam Clark, the 2020 fourth round pick for the Jets, he's calling it a career after his injury.
Damn. That's
it didn't say what specific injury, but apparently he had a paralysis risk involved with the injury, and he doesn't think it's risk getting back out on the field. He's calling it a career only after a year or two.
I understand that decision, man. You gotta definitely like prioritize your health,
Yeah. And pretty interesting. We didn't mention this earlier, but the Super Bowl, the Rams are playing at their home stadium. We talked about this last week, which it's like 2 in a row this has happened, but it hasn't happened any other year in NFL history. But interesting enough, they're playing at home, but they're not the home team. They're the road team in this game.
So they're going to be in their like white jerseys?
Yeah. And the Bengals, I'm pretty sure, are wearing all black. So it's going to be awesome.
Oh, man. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see the jerseys they come out in. I wish the Bengals
so
had
the home
white
team's
going to
be playing away. So the last thing I had here as far as NFL, I had the top running backs, and I also had the top wide receivers who are going to be free agents this offseason. Okay. And I'm sure we'll come back to it at some point. I just thought it was
one of which I think we can scoop. I'll get to that though.
You think so? The first number one on the wide receivers list, Devonta Adams. Man, I mean, he's looking to get the bag.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, Eagles aren't getting him either. So I mean, I don't know how Green Bay's cap space is looking. I don't think it's looking that good.
They'll probably franchise tag him like we were saying, though.
Exactly. They can franchise tag him, and I guarantee they will if they convince Rodgers to come back.
Right. They're going to probably see what they can do with that first.
Exactly, and then go from there. The second one here, Chris Godwin, coming off a major injury. He's still going to be a top prospect, try to go. I mean, I'd be cool Chris Godwin signing to the Eagles.
Yeah, even if he's like kind of takes a little bit of time to get back to where he was, half a year to a year. As long as he's under like a 3-4 year deal, you can get the most out of him.
Absolutely. Number 3 here is Mike Williams from the Chargers. That'll be a decent pick there. Allen Robinson, who I would love Allen Robinson on the Eagles, man.
That's who I think we can get on the Patriots, man.
You think?
I think Allen Robinson would love to come play with Bill Belichick. I love Allen Robinson, not because of Penn State, but I like that he's Penn State. That's a local product right there.
And I could be wrong in saying this, but I feel like he would be the most affordable out of all these players.
Exactly.
And you're still going to get a great production from him. I mean, this season didn't look great. I mean, he was injured here and there, but, the Bears were just such a mess with Matt Nagy. He wasn't even getting the targets that he was before.
They didn't know who the quarterback was half the time.
Yeah. Before that, he was getting like 1,000-yard seasons every season.
Right. With Trubisky.
With Trubisky, which say it's up. You put like Mac Jones there or someone that can throw the ball well, easily get over 1,000 yards there. So I mean, I would love to get Allen Robinson there. And the last one here is Michael Gallup, which it's increasingly looking like he's done with Dallas at this point. It's looking like he's gone.
Interesting. I wonder how he would do in another setting like that, because he's been pretty good as like a number 2 or a number 3.
Yeah, like a slot kind of receiver.
We'll see where he goes. Somewhere like Kansas City or something would be wild.
The only reason I say no is because Philly has such a bad track record of bringing in players from Dallas and it just not working out. Yeah. They suck hardcore.
It's like a sabotage.
So, nope. Yeah, it is like a sabotage. Like, nope, I'm good. And then you go to the running backs here. Number 1 is Cordell Patterson is going to be a free agent. After a huge year with the Falcons, the Falcons didn't look great, but Cordell Patterson certainly did. He could do it all.
And he's been on a lot of different teams over his career already. And this was like a contract year for him, so he's definitely going to get some good offers. We'll see what happens. I guarantee
it. Leonard Fournette is number 2. That's another big explosive back. Bruiser back, nice one to have on the team there. I wouldn't mind, depending on the price, pulling him in and, have the old 1-2 with Miles and Fournette there.
Right. Like you said, depending on how much it would cost.
Yeah, exactly. But that would be a pretty good asset for any team, really, a Leonard Fournette.
Right.
James Conner here is number 3. He didn't look that great in Pittsburgh. That's why they let him go. But, man, he kind of had a decent year here with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and who knows what's going on with these Cardinals. All of a sudden, it looks like there's a bunch of turmoil there.
Yeah, and I mean, the number 4 is also in the Cardinals with Chase Edmonds. He's also a free agent as well.
Both of their backs?
They're both free agents, yeah. So, I mean, you got two top back. They're in top 5 in free agents here.
One of them they're going to have to pay, or they're going to end up just like searching for a back here.
Yeah, so you would think they would choose to sign one of them here.
Why is Kyler Murray so mad at him? I know we're not on that quite yet, but why is Kyler Murray so mad?
I don't know, man. And it seemed like it was right after the Pro Bowl for some reason. Right. He scrubbed his social medias of everything Cardinals. What's going on? And then I saw a report they're saying that he's asking for like 50 to 55 mil a year, like on his like he wants like a max contract type thing, like
because he don't want to get hurt and risk it.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know where this is all coming from. It kind of came out of left field.
Interesting, very interesting.
Because I mean, we went from like they're being undefeated. We were picking them, like we were hammering them every week at one point, and then they just fell apart like we've never seen before.
I don't get it. I mean, I want to see what happens. I would love to see him stay in Arizona, but I have no idea what's going to end up happening here.
And it's not like they didn't try to help him. They brought people in. They brought Zach Ertz in. I mean, I know DeAndre Hopkins was hurt a lot this season, but I mean, you still had other options there. AJ Green, you have there. They brought in, but I don't know. Christian Kirk's nice. They have a decent team there. I just don't know what's happening.
And I don't think anything happens this offseason anyway with him as far as a trade or anything
I don't think
like
so
that.
Either.
So why? I don't know. Just to cause drama, who knows? We'll see what comes of this.
And I feel like they're going to want way too much for, the asking price for Kyler Murray is going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
More than like an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson. Picks. Yeah.
Give us like 4 first-rounders. We'll give you Kyler Murray.
Exactly. But before we move on, the last one I had here was Sony Michel. Was on the free agent running back list. Hey, may return to New England?
Nah, we got Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. We're good.
But that was the last bit of NFL news here. You have anything you want to add, Vern?
Nothing NFL related, I don't think. No.
Okay. Before we roll into the NBA news here, I just had a little bit. The Olympics are going on. I didn't really have anything to talk about as far as the Olympics, but someone within the Olympics is pretty big news. Shaun White said that he's going to announce his retirement after this Olympics here in 2022.
Damn. That's interesting.
So the flying carrot is going to be done.
This is his 5th Olympics, so anybody can compete in 5 Olympics.
I feel like it's every 4. I feel like that's not a lot, but it is every 4 years.
Yeah, so, it's like 5 terms at president.
Every couple years.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know if it's 4 years or 2 years, but he's just been training this whole time, just doing different competitions in between and representing America at every single one of them. So like, it's been pretty cool to see him this whole time.
And more often than not, he's getting a goal too.
Right. Exactly. he's getting podium somehow. He had that real crazy wreck a couple years ago where he smacked his head off the pipe, but like.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, man, this dude's been going hard for years. It's about time he retires. Right off into the sunset.
So we'll go right into the NBA talk here. There's some trade news and other news as well. But first, we're going to roll right into our NBA hot and not, Vern.
Yep. So this week, the hottest team is Golden State, who's on a 9-game winning streak right now. They're killing it. Klay Thompson's kind of getting right back into the rhythm of everything.
I saw he was like 7-9 from 3 the other night or something. Like, holy moly.
He's playing like he didn't miss a beat right now, man. It's great. And they're 9-1 over the last 10. And then Toronto is on a 6-game streak. They were playing pretty nice here, trying to kind of jock for position there. They're 8-2.
Siakam has been balling.
Yeah, he has, man. He has. He's been putting up crazy numbers. And then Boston, who is kind of getting their shit back together. They've been great since the start of the new year.
They were in turmoil in that first quarter of the season.
They were, but apparently since the calendar year started, they've been great. So they're 7-3 over the last 10 there. Then even Minnesota here with a nice little streak, 4-game winning streak, 7-3. And then I had an honorable mention of Phoenix. They're on a 3-game winning streak, but they're 9-1 still. They're still one of the hottest teams in the NBA regardless.
Yeah, and they just got their 10th loss.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Just now, and then for my not list, Brooklyn, number 1. Worst team in the league. This may be the
first time you've had Brooklyn on the not list.
It might be. I'd have to go back and double check, but Brooklyn is not doing good without KD or Kyrie right now, so feels bad, man. They're 1-9 over the last 10. I don't know what to say about Brooklyn other than James Harden can't seem to do it by himself. Is he even playing right now, or is he hurt as well?
He's actually been held out the past couple games, suspiciously enough, and it's not even due to injury.
They're going to trade him.
It's looking like he may be traded, and most likely it's looking like the Sixers at this point. But there's so many conflicting reports. There was reports saying that there's ongoing talks with him to trade him to Philly. And then Woj came out saying there's no talks with Philly. Like, he's saying that there's nothing going on. So I don't know. Nobody knows what to believe anymore.
What's the trade deadline? This Thursday or next Thursday?
Tomorrow.
So
this Thursday, yeah.
When this video comes out, we'll see what happens. There might be some kind of breaking news here. But for now, they're number 1 on my not list.
Yeah. And I saw something about, like, Kyrie is only eligible to play like 10 more games at home or something, or 12 or 11. It's some extremely like lower number that you wouldn't expect. That's like at home he's only able to play like type games. And it was like, what in the world?
I don't know what's going on, but Brooklyn, Alex is having a panic attack about Brooklyn right now. He doesn't know what to think,
Yeah, yeah, he was on a high for a minute, and now I haven't heard him talk about the
No.
Nets in a couple weeks.
Been real silent about the
It was like
Mets.
every conversation he's like, hey, my Nets doing pretty good, man. Go get the chip
Like,
on it. Now nothing. It's silence.
they gonna fuck around, miss the playoffs like my Lakers, you know?
It's looking like it, and I'm hoping my Bulls don't fall out here soon because they're
Mm-hmm.
sliding.
Still got a good amount of the season left here. But number 2 on my list here was Portland, who's on a 6-game losing streak. They're 2-8 over the last 10. They just
Yeah,
made
it's gonna
a
get
nice
worse.
trade there. We'll get to the trade, but they just made a trade there. And then Charlotte on a 5-game losing streak, 3-7 over the last 10. Detroit, 5-game losing streak, 1-9 over the last 10. And then New York, even on here, on a 4-game losing streak. They even lost to my Lakers the other night. They're on a 2-8 over the last 10.
Yeah, and I mean we're really starting to see who may be the contenders at this point. We're starting to see all these teams that are starting more complete teams that are falling back a little bit.
I know
we're not
is up here. You know, we'll see what pieces are moved, but like you're saying, it's definitely starting to become more clear.
Yeah, and we'll see it even more here going into the second half of the season after the All-Star break here coming up. But yeah, we're starting to see who's really could make a run for it here. What teams are really built, you know, because I mean, even though the Bulls they're beat up to hell, and I know this is biased, but they're still, even though they're losing some games to like these bigger teams like the Sixers and the Suns. I mean, they only lost to the Suns by 3 points, and they were down by 20 at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were able to come back. So, I mean, they do got some depth on there, but, I mean, Ball and Caruso and a couple other players being out hurts them a lot, just like some of these other teams. I mean, who knows what Cleveland's going to look like by the end of the season, because they're looking great right now, and they're in the 4th spot.
They're just getting some nice players back as well. So,
and they just traded for a nice player as well. Right. So, yeah, who knows what that could look like going into the second half of the season.
I don't know, man. I can't wait for an All-Star break, because at that point, you know, it's like go time. It's like a race for the playoffs.
It's go time, and that's when it really, the games mean a little bit more going forward.
Exactly, every single one of them.
Yeah, there's a little bit more momentum in them. They're a little bit more exciting. So to get to the news here, the Jazz traded Joe Ingles in a 3-team deal. We did talk about, you know, there was rumors of him getting traded, but the Trailblazers got Ingles, Elijah Hughes, and a 2nd-round pick. The Jazz got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Juancho Hernangomez, and the Spurs got Thomas Satoransky, former Bull, and a 2nd-round pick.
So the Blazers on the
got
move
a nice
again.
big boy.
Hernangomez, this is his 2nd trade over the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, we just talked about him getting traded a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Trailblazers, they did get a nice big man there, but they did lose somebody else here on the team. So let me go to that one
we'll
here.
See how Dame feels about that, but they did open up a lot of cap space for the future.
Yeah. Where the hell is it? I lost it. Yeah, but CJ McCollum got traded, which is pretty wild, man. I didn't think CJ McCollum was going to get traded.
No, it's the last person I expected. I thought Dame would be traded before him, to be honest.
Yeah, so the full breakdown was the Blazers got Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, who they just traded, and Nickeil Walker-Alexander, who they just traded, and Didi Louzada, a 2022nd protected 1st-round pick, 2 2nd-round picks, and the Pelicans got CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell.
Oh, man, Larry Nance on the move.
Yeah, Larry Nance and CJ McCollum, and old Tony Snell, he's still in the league. Still in the league.
Oh,
but yeah, CJ McCollum going there on the Pelicans. You know, hopefully they could try to get Zion back here before the end of the year.
Yeah, they got some nice pieces out of that trade, man. It's not too bad of a move for the Pelicans.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Dame now? I know he did just recently say that he's committed to Portland, but I don't know if Portland is trying to, you know, start the process of rebuilding now with these trades, and then try to, you know, do a full rebuild this summer and try to.
They're trying to
convince them to
stay big in free agency next year here.
Exactly. So back to the Brooklyn here. James Harden is apparently pushing for a trade, and this is in quotes, screaming in every way he possibly can to get out of Brooklyn, per Windhorse ESPN.
I wonder what happened. Like, why is it so bad now?
I don't know, man. It just seems like a pattern at this point.
This is the same thing he did in Houston.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna put on the fat suit.
Yeah. Come out and start missing shots, and then next thing you know, he's gonna show up in Philly like ripped, ready to play. You know, for the first couple games.
Middle of next year or the end of next season, he's like, I want out.
I'm out.
Send me somewhere else.
I'm gonna go to Boston. Just random, man. I don't understand.
I don't understand it either, because there's like no reasoning behind it. I mean, they tried to say there was some before, but he went out and denied it, saying that he just doesn't like living in Brooklyn and stuff like that. But I don't know. It must be something huge if he wants out of there that bad. Maybe he's just sick of Kyrie.
He really hates living in Brooklyn, man.
Maybe. These strip clubs suck. I need to go somewhere else. So the Washington Wizards say All-Star guard Bradley Beal is undergoing season-ending surgery on his left wrist.
That sucks,
they had such a promising start to the season, the Wizards, with him and Kuzma. They just falling right back down there, being the old Wizards again.
Yeah, exactly. Like no John Wall, no Russ. It's just not going to be enough with just Kuzma. You know, Bradley Beal was he was the best player on that team last year. You know, even with Russ out there. So that sucks, man. I hope he recovers soon. I mean, I know he's out the rest of the year, but
yeah, absolutely. And the Pacers, they traded Damas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and Justin Holiday to the Sacramento Kings for Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson.
Ooh, okay, Buddy Hield.
And Tristan Thompson said he already wants out.
Of course he does.
He said he wants to go to a contender.
He wasn't out of contender in the first place.
I know, but he said he wants to go to a contender.
This dude. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, Thaddeus Young is expected to reach a buyout agreement, if not moved here by the trade deadline with the Spurs. We talked about it before. He's just not getting playing time.
Yeah.
It's looking like he's going to be a buyout. I don't know if the Bulls are allowed to pick him up if he's bought out because they just traded him. I know they're not allowed to trade for him, but I don't know if they're allowed to technically pick him up if he's bought out.
Probably.
So if he is bought out,
free agent, he could probably sign right back with y'all.
Yeah. So I mean, if that happens, I definitely expect the Bulls to try to go back and get him, because it seems like they really like Thaddeus. Because whenever they played the Spurs the other week, you know, Zach LaVine was over there talking with him and joking around. Seems like they have good chemistry. And he balled out last year. He was one of the only bright spots there.
Right.
So look forward to that. See where he goes.
Back for you.
Yeah, exactly. And the Pacers traded Karis LeVert to the Cavaliers for Ricky Rubio, who's hurt, and a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks.
Makes Cleveland even better.
I know. Nobody expected this.
Scarier, man.
Braun going to leave LA to go back to Cleveland.
He's like, you know what? They're building a pretty good team over there. I'm about to just go to Cleveland. I'll retire there.
Yeah. So, man, Cleveland. They were balling before. So I mean, if they're able to incorporate him in there, get the, mesh well together, they could be dangerous come playoff time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of be trying to spoil some teams.
I think they're definitely a contender, and it's surprising, like you're saying, but they're definitely a contender.
Yeah. LaMelo Ball and DeJounte Murray have been named All-Star game replacements for KD and Draymond Green.
LaMelo All-Star game, nice.
Yep, and DeJounte Murray for the Spurs has been quietly having a very good season so far too.
Yeah. Even though the Spurs aren't really doing too hot,
Yeah. The Clippers traded Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a future second-round pick to the Trailblazers for Norman Powell and Robert Covington. And this is a pretty, you could see the pieces fitting together. Portland has been involved with almost all of these trades. They're just trading to try to build some pieces, try to get something there.
I think it's really coming down to the
money. There's a pattern.
It's them trying to make sure that they have enough money to do whatever they need to do when the time comes.
Yeah, try to lure in some big market players. Like maybe if James Harden doesn't get traded, maybe they try to go to get James Harden.
Exactly. That'd be nice, man. James Harden and Dame. Oh my God.
And then Ingles is there too. They got a big man finally, and we've been saying this. They needed a big man in Portland. They haven't really had a great one there since like Aldridge.
Right. That's a great pickup there as well.
Absolutely. And And unfortunately, we talked about before that we thought it was going to be likely, but Tyronn Lue said he doesn't expect Kawhi to be back this season.
Damn, that does suck. We talked about that like back in the fall. We thought Kawhi was going to be playing at least by, March, April, sometime around there.
Yeah, so it's looking like Kawhi's going to be out the rest of the season. Paul George is going to be out the rest of the season.
And they still have a better record than my Lakers.
Somehow, but you don't expect the Clippers to really do too much here.
Right.
Going forward. The Miami Heat have significant medical concerns regarding Markieff Morris injury status.
Yeah,
he's been out nearly 3 months since that altercation with Nikola Vujovic.
He fucked him up, man. He's a big dude. He just pushed him over, man. That was bad. Don't mess with that type of dude.
It's under the impression that he came back already, to be honest. Nope. I didn't know that he's been out this whole time.
He's been out the whole time, man.
That is nuts. And for the All-Star game, we talked about some new formats that they're incorporating last week a little bit. But now they're going to be having NBA All-Star game rings this year. All-Star game rings are awarded to players in recognition of their selection of the game. And they're also going to have the Kobe Bryant All-Star Game MVP trophy now. Yes. They have a trophy made up. It's a 4-level design honoring the late icons number 8 and 24, 18 All-Star appearances, 4 ASG MVPs, USA Basketball number 10, NBA MVP award, 5 titles, and 2-inch final star for his 2 final MVPs.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome. I'm gonna have a picture of it down here, but it looks so cool, man. It's like such a cool trophy there, and I'm so glad they named it after him. Exactly.
And this is actually we've been kind of staying away from a lot of the stats here recently, but this is just pretty big stat. Luka Doncic is just a monster here in the NBA the past couple years, and I think he's only like 24 or something.
Right, he's definitely an up and coming player.
Yeah, he's broke the tie, and now is 10th most in triple doubles in NBA history already.
Jesus Christ, top 10 in 10. NBA history.
Yeah, well, he has his 44th triple double of his career now. And he's now recorded a triple-double against 24 of 30 current NBA teams, and it breaks the tie with Fat Lever, who had 43 for the 10th most triple-doubles in NBA history. So ridiculous. He's already in NBA history record books right now.
And he's only going to climb higher and higher, man.
Exactly. So that just shows you how dominant he's been.
Yeah. The Mavs got something special with him.
Yeah. So hopefully they can keep him and kind of build around him here, because, I mean, they're so shaky here, a little bit of last season and this season. They look good at times, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they really kind of need
pieces around him there,
Exactly. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that here through the trade deadline. It's going to maybe have to be an all-season thing.
Yeah.
And the last couple things I have here is just the All-Star game stuff. The All-Star reserves have been announced. For the West, you got Devin Booker, Luka, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, who we mentioned he's not going to be participating, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Karl Anthony Towns.
And there's Devin Booker, like we were saying last week. We assumed he was going to be on
Chris
the
Paul.
list. Yeah.
And in the East, you got Jimmy Butler, Darius Garland, James Harden, my boy Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, and Fred VanVleet. And with Fred VanVleet, he becomes the 4th undrafted NBA player ever to be named an All-Star.
That's awesome. The Drake 2.0. He looks like Drake. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. But yeah, that's the All-Star. I knew Zach LaVine was probably going to make it at one point. So we got 2 All-Stars on the Bulls, man.
We got one.
Looking pretty good.
We got... oh, no. Did Anthony Davis make it?
No, he didn't.
Damn. We got one. We got LeBron.
Yeah. It was probably because he was hurt, though, for a little while.
Yeah.
Or else he probably would have made it. You're right. But Braun did. But that's all the NBA news I have here right now. We're going to look forward to the All-Star game coming up here, marked midway through the season. And also, of course, all the trades that are happening, by the time the podcast comes out that we didn't get to see.
Unfortunately, can't report on until next week.
Yeah. But we'll write it into our bias bubbles here. What do you got for us this week, Vern?
I only have one thing for my Lakers here. The Westbrook is out. We have back-to-back here. He's out with back tightness. So I'm hoping
is not a fan of Russell Westbrook right now. People hating Russell Westbrook. Twitter.
Why?
Like everybody's just hating Russell just because they're like saying that he's not a good fit, that he's like ruining the Lakers, that he's just like missing a shot, that like because they're benching him in the fourth quarter of some of these games. You know, they don't have him in there to try to make a push to win some of these games.
I don't know. I don't think we figured it out quite yet, and I don't think that means that it doesn't work. It just means we haven't figured it out yet. I don't know exactly how to fit a piece so dynamic like Russ into the pie with LeBron and AD.
True.
He
just looks off. Yeah. Like some of his shots and stuff, he just looks like he's lacking confidence.
Like he doesn't even know if he should shoot half the time.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Because I saw something the other day about like, I think it was AD or Braun had an interview where they were saying that like he's not putting up shots where he would normally put up shots, like his regular areas.
Yeah.
And they're telling him like, we don't care if you miss every time. Just put up those shots.
Exactly.
Like you got to.
If you think you're open, you can make it. Go ahead and shoot.
Yeah. So it just looks like he's lacking confidence at this point. Maybe one big game or something will help him out of that little funk that he's having. But
we'll see.
The internet and like all these pundits and everything are just not helping at this point.
They need to leave this man alone. Let him develop here as a Laker. Okay, we'll get him a championship eventually. But as far as my Patriots, they hired Joe Judge back as an assistant. So
I wanted to know your thoughts and how you felt about that.
I mean, he was cool as an assistant with us before, so as long as he doesn't have too much power or too much influence, I think everything would be cool.
As long as he stays an assistant,
as long as he knows his role and doesn't try to overstep his boundaries, I think we're fine. Would you have rather liked him coming back, Joe Judge, or who was it? Brian Billick?
What's his name? No, not Billick. The dude that was
O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
Neither.
Because he was rumored to come back as well.
Neither. That's my answer to that question. I would have rather had neither of them.
Neither.
But it is what it is. We ended up with Joe Judge back, which is fine. We'll just see how that goes. I did have Brady say and never say never on here. But did you see Mac Jones in the Pro Bowl, man? He had a great Pro Bowl.
I did.
He had a great day. He was having so much fun out there. I love seeing Mac Jones just away from Bill Belichick, allowed to be a human being. It was awesome, so
that's one thing we didn't talk about. I'm surprised we didn't even bring it up, the Pro Bowl. That's
because it was kind of a whack fest. There was like 7 picks
around that as well. You have huge name former NFL players calling it whack, and that this shit needs to change next year.
Exactly.
Like these players obviously don't want to play. Like
there's no point in it. Like they said, make the 2 worst teams in the league play, and whoever wins gets the number 1 pick.
Why not at this point?
That's what you should do. Make the 2 worst teams play. Right. And then Bill Belichick called Brady the best of all time. He acknowledged, he's like, man, he's the best NFL player of all time. And I thought that was cool to see him finally give him some more recognition and kind of say it publicly like that. I know he released a statement, but just to acknowledge it, because Bill Belichick usually isn't trying to acknowledge anything like that, but Brady was the GOAT, so it's cool to see that. I'm surprised
they were able to get any quotes out of him here
right
after the season.
That's what I'm saying, but that's all I really had here. I didn't have too much here.
Okay, I don't really have too much as well. The first thing I have here, Nikola Vujovic for the Bulls. He's the first Bull player since Michael Jordan in '96 with 35 points and 15 rebounds and 3 blocks in a game.
Damn.
Yeah.
Since Michael Jordan.
Since Michael Jordan, he had a huge game. That's 35 awesome. Points and 15 rebounds and 3 blocks.
That's awesome.
So Vujovic is finally hitting, what he's supposed to be, what we traded for. He's playing very well here, and we really needed him too at this point.
Once you get healthy too, it'll be even better.
Yeah,
everybody's starting to gel more. That was
another thing. Is I think it was after the Sixers lost, because we lost only by a couple points to them, and then the next night lost to the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
They asked DeMar DeRozan about if they think they need to make any trades before the deadline, and he's like, we're missing Lonzo, we're missing Caruso, who or some of the best defenders in the league or whatever. They provide a lot to the team. So it was and Patrick Williams, this was in my news here. He's not wearing a cast, and apparently has gone through full conditioning already. So Pat Williams, ready. It's looking like he's coming back sooner than later.
That's perfect for you guys. If he can come back, even after the All-Star game would be okay.
That exactly. So it's looking like he's going to get some regular season time. Hopefully, get Caruso and Ball back. get a nice healthy squad going into the playoffs, and hopefully get maybe a week or so before playoffs, kind of let them gel a little bit.
Yeah.
And then hit the playoffs rolling, man. Hopefully.
Exactly. Be a dangerous team come playoff time.
Yeah. And apparently they're also they're keeping an eye on the Paul Millsap situation. And apparently your Lakers are too. I saw that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you told me, that the Lakers are apparently looking at him as well. So we'll see what happens. But he'd be a nice fit for us. I just don't know how much our potential is this year. He'd probably be a better idea for him to sign with Chicago there.
Yeah, and this is a very question. I haven't questioned a lot of the moves the Bulls made at all, but this is one I'm questioning. Apparently they're trying to get a trade for Dennis Schroeder from Boston. And I think the only reason is that because Billy Donovan coached him in OKC and he played very well with them there.
Yeah.
But we have Kobe White, we have Io, we have Lonzo. We don't need any other like point guards or forwards or anything like that. So I mean, I don't understand why we would trade for him. We need a big. We need somebody to grab boards. We need another power forward or a backup center or something. We shouldn't be focusing on someone like Dennis Schroeder right now.
Don't do it. That's all I gotta say.
I don't want him to do it.
Don't do it.
I don't want him to do it. As far as Eagles stuff here, Jason Kelce was asked about his retirement, and his quote was, "To answer your question, I want to, but I want to come back, but I have to make sure it's the smart thing to do, and that I can still do." This is a weird way that he worded it. And I still can do that and be a good teammate, good leader, and good player. As long as I can do all three of those, I'm definitely coming back. So it's looking like Jason Kelce's probably coming back next season.
Yeah, unless something drastic happens in the offseason, he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
Dude was one of the top centers in the league, made the Pro Bowl. He decided not to go. He opted out.
Yeah.
But it's looking like he's coming back, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
This is something I didn't know. Eagles running back Boston Scott is now the first two-sport NFL and Rocket League pro.
I saw that. Apparently he's like in the top 0.2% of Rocket League, man.
Yeah.
How does he have time for
that? He joined a digital, I forget what the name of the team is, as a sub and content creator, and he achieved grand champion status in Rocket League by being the top 0.052% over 6 million ranked players or something.
I don't understand how he had time for that. He must only play football and play Rocket League. That's it.
He must, dude. He has to.
That's crazy.
Out of all games, though, I did not expect him to be like in a Rocket League.
Rocket League. That's my shit.
And on other news here, this is one I wasn't expecting. Jalen Hurts had surgery on his ankle.
Damn.
The other week.
Well, yeah, that's a good time to have it because he'll be nice and healthy by the time football comes around.
It's the same ankle injury that he suffered against, I think it was the first time they played the Giants, that, kept him out that week or so whenever Gardner Minshew came in and played for the Jets.
Yeah.
And then he was questionable the next week, but he came back and played. But he still wasn't fully healthy the rest of the season there on that ankle. But it's looking like they're saying that he's going to be coming back. He's going to be fully recovered by the start of OTAs in spring. So
good.
So he'll be good to go.
Right. It was like you said, it was like more just get it done, get it out of the way in the off season whenever you can. Heal up.
Exactly. Yep. So that's the last bit of news I had here in my bias bubble. Let's roll right into the crazy sports stat fact of the podcast here.
What you got?
Bill Russell and Henry Richard. So Tom Brady needs 5 more Super Bowls, to match either one of these dudes. NBA had 8 or 11 teams at the time, and the NHL had 6 and 12, but 11 championships in any era shows dominance. Bill Russell won 11 NBA titles with the Celtics in a 13-year career span, and Henry Richard won 11 Stanley Cups for Montreal. And that was from 55 to 75. Current NHLers have 3, and LeBron has 4.
That's crazy, man. So LeBron's the most in the NBA right now.
Yes, and most in like the NHL is 3.
Wow,
and and Henry Richard in the NBA and the NHL had 11 cups, and then Bill Russell had 11 championships in the NBA.
There were less teams, but like you said, any time you get 11 chips, that shows dominance in that era.
Yeah, and then like they said, in the NBA they had 8 to 11 teams, and then NHL they had 6 to 12.
Yeah.
Brady
did it with 32 teams.
even that's a huge accomplishment. But even so, 11 championships, especially Bill Russell, where he won them 11 and 13 years. That's absolutely nuts.
Well, Phil Jackson has 13, I think.
13?
I think he's got 2 as a player, 5 with the Lakers, and 6 with y'all.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
I think he has 2 with the Knicks.
That's a bonus crazy sports stat fact of the podcast.
There goes a bonus one. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. But that's the show this week. Of course, the Super Bowl is this weekend.
Can't wait.
Super hyped to watch that here. We both picked the Bengals. Remind everybody, so go Joe Burrow. Hopefully Jamar Chase, he's going to have like 170 yards or something, probably.
At least.
150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
At least.
Or something. I can see Joe Mixon having like 100 yards on the ground or something as well if they run. Maybe if they're able to break through that line.
We'll see.
Or do some screens or something.
Like you might have 100 all-purpose yards.
But we wanted to do something special for the Super Bowl this Sunday. Unfortunately, I got sick. I don't know if we'll be able to get together to do that. So unfortunately, we might not be able to do something this Sunday, like a live stream or anything for that. But we will be back here next week. Recapping everything Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And of course, all the news across the NBA and sports leagues. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out all the content across our channel.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Check out all the content on Sideline Sports as well, because like Wyatt was saying in the beginning, they have so much stuff. They're doing so much press right now, so it'd be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, John and JB are in LA. For Super Bowl week, and not only that, all of us are going to be on the Super Bowl pressers and interviews. So go on there, check out all these interviews with the players, the offensive coordinators, coaches, and everything like that. A lot of great content coming out from Sideline Sports, and we still got big news to announce here coming up soon. And it's looking like it because Sideline Sports just announced their big news here in the past couple of days. So if you want to kind of hint of that, go check out their page. That'll kind of give you initiative to do so. So check out. Go follow us on Twitter at SquadPod Sports. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel here. Check out the content, and we'll see everybody next week.